This is Walk Good, African and Caribbean folk tales retold by storyteller Kesha Christie. Join us as we share stories passed down from generation to generation. Gather your family and your friends, reminisce about the old days, learn something new, and most of all, walk good. Welcome to another episode of Walk Good. I'm your storyteller, Kesha Christie, and in this episode, we have a Zulu folktale to share with you. The Zulu people are the single largest ethnic group in South Africa, numbering over 9 million in the late 20th century. The stories that they share are an essential part of their tradition. These stories educate and entertain. They keep the Zulu people close to their ancestors, and I am pleased to share this folktale with you today. This story is called The Lost Message. The ant has had, from time of immemorial, many enemies. Because he is small and very destructive, there have been a great many slaughters among the ant family. Not only were the birds their enemies, but the ant-eater lived wholly on eating ants, not to mention the centipede ate them as well from time to time, and all the places when they had chance, they would eat these ants. So now, there were a few among the ants who thought that it would be well if they had a council meeting where they could gather together and talk amongst themselves to come up with some kind of agreement whereby they could retreat to a place of safety when they were attacked by robber birds and other animals. The gathering was set, but during the gathering, like everything else, and when people often get together, the ants were no different. They all had different opinions, and their opinions caused the most discord. They couldn't come to a decision. They talked and talked amongst themselves. There was the red ant, rice ant, black ant, wagtail ant, gray ant, shiny ant, and many other varieties. They had long, lengthy discussions, and they talked about diversity, and they went on and on for a very long time, everybody having an opposing point of view or just expressing their own personal opinion. And after a very long time, they came to no decision. Finally, they all decided to part ways and do what they all thought best for themselves. Now, some decided to live in a small hole in the ground where they would live together, and another part wanted to live in a home underneath the ground so that none of the other animals could get to them, whereby others wanted to live in trees. And then there were a few that wanted to get rid of the anteater problem by flying, similar to the birds. But they forgot entirely that birds are fast flying creatures. What were they to do? Separately, they all made their homes in the different places that each group thought would be safe. And they went on and did their own work, working together to build their home and each having their own responsibility. There was greater unity in each separate group than there was in the whole group. And as each one had their task, they built their homes and began to live happily. And they even decided to choose a king that would guide each individual group and divide up the labors so that things would run as smoothly as possible. But each group did it in their own way, and none of them really thought about protecting themselves against the onslaught of birds, anteaters, and other animals that preyed on the ants. The red ants built their house in the ground and lived under it. And the anteater came, leveled it in 1 minute, and it cost them many days of precious labor. The red ants lived under the ground, which they thought was very safe. Well, the anteater just waited for them to come out and suck them up, sack and all. The wagtail ants, they fled to the trees, but they didn't realize that the centipede would be waiting for them, not to mention that the birds will gobble them up because they were easy prey. Oh, goodness. The gray ants had intended to save themselves by trying to fly, so they were able to get away from their predators. But what happened was they didn't realize how fast they needed to be. Well, the lizard was able to lash out his tongue and catch them quickly. The hunter spider was able to gobble them very fast. And the birds were a great deal faster than they were. The ants were still being eaten, even more quickly than before. When the insect king had heard of all that was happening and that the ant families could not come to an agreement, he sent them a secret of unity and the message of working together. And he wrote out his message and he gave it to his messenger. But unfortunately, he chose for his messenger the beetle. And well, he has never arrived at the ants. So they are still to this day the embodiment of discord and consequently the prey of many enemies, because the insect king's message seems to have been lost. The moral of this story is that we are only as strong as we are united and as weak as we are divided. Thank you for joining us for this episode of Walk Good. Join us in our next episode as we have new stories to share with you. If you would like more stories, join us on our social media pages under Talkin' Tales. You can find us on YouTube at TalkinTales. You can also follow us on IG at Talkin, TalkinTales, Tales, to find out all the things that we are doing between episodes. We invite you to like, share, and give a review on this episode because it helps us to and have more episodes available to you. Till then, share this story with your family and your friends, and as always, walk good.